Awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is Malusi. We present today with Nick and representing the rest of our team, which includes Divyani and Alice, and everyone's been waiting to find out, and we are Shelf Life. So Shelf Life is a regional food waste database. And so approximately 58% of food produced in Canada is lost or wasted each year, and that does not exclude us here in the Okanagan Valley. So where we started was with restaurants and grocery stores. We're like, this is probably where a lot of that food is being wasted. So we contacted some of our favorite spots. That includes Waterfront Wines, Mount Boucherie, Vice and Virtue, Cactus Club, and a few local grocery stores as well. And what we found out was, in fact, that they're actually doing all that they really can, especially with COVID. They've been accelerated into finding ways to create workspaces that are zero waste. And so from then, we really had to figure out, all right, let's maybe step up to some of those big box grocery stores, Cactus Club, like I mentioned before. Chatted with the chefs, and and they do have to waste, and same with these larger grocery stores, but they aren't able to really track the food by food, which was our original goal. They work in the numbers. They see that 9%, that 5%. They're really trying to keep their waste below those thresholds. So coming to that conclusion, we were forced to refocus our shifts, and that led us to the household, the family. So how can a database benefit a family or a household in that kind of sense? Essentially, having a better understanding of what food you're wasting, what food you're eating, can be monumental in structuring a space that is creating a zero waste flow, a closer relationship to your food, understanding what you need and what you don't need, taking control of the demand so that those who are supplying can supply enough so that waste is slowly diminishing, and hopefully creating an equilibrium for the food waste cycle. And so this conversation led us to think about, all right, what's the tool? What's the technology? How can we start to give families and households the opportunity to understand this information? So the key is tracking your food waste, and that's what we're here for at Shelf Life. Research local, buy local, and live local. So the app, I'm going to hand this over to Nick, and he's going to dive into our app and our website and what that looks like.
Perfect. Thanks, Melissa. So as discussed, our app, the idea behind it is to get households on board to track their waste. This could be the form of groceries. This could be the form of recycling. This could be the form of many things. And so our tracker, what it does is it allows them to input their basic information, as well as choose a type of vegetable or a type of food or a type of item, and then verify it by quantity or weight, and then they can track it individually. What also happens is once it's tracked, it loads up to our database, and then it's presented in data form on the website. So the website here, which we tried to create a little bit during the day here, it'll allow us to provide information visually. A lot of the time, I find that sometimes reviewing databases, it can be tricky to understand this information. So by creating a visual representation of your food waste, it might also allow you to see the trends specifically in certain types of food that you're wasting. The bigger piece of this website, though, is we wanted to provide tips, tricks, and recommendations on how to use the waste before it becomes waste. It's easy to say we're going to collect the waste and do something with it, but ideally we're reducing the fact that we're wasting it in general. We reached out to a local chef here in town, Bree of Table 49, and she even gave us a quick recipe for something as simple as lettuce. How often do we throw that in the garbage and throw it as it slightly wilts or something like that, but toss it in a blender or a food processor, add some additional ingredients, and all of a sudden you have another meal to use. So some of the research that we did after talking to the businesses is we wanted to connect with households. So 4 of the 5 households we connected with indicated that inflation on their monthly grocery bill was very concerning. An additional 3 indicated they'd be very interested in logging their waste. And then another one indicated they would consider it. Our interviews also indicated they want more information, regional food supplier recommendations, and tips on how to manage this waste. So what's going to get in our way? Obviously, we require users to input this information for us. Having third parties consent and commit to doing this can be tricky. Additionally, our initial funding requirement may be a bit significant for an untested application or procedure. Our key metrics and milestones is we want to be able to launch the application by this January. We want to have 1,000 users by March. And we want to have 100 users by March, 1,000 unique website visitors by June. And we also want to launch a collection of the recipes that we get by the end of November via a cookbook. Ideally, we're targeting 2% food waste reduction per year, leading to 2030 of 16% in total. The ask is sourcing a grant of $75,000 from the RDCO to support the program for 1 year. After we are able to prove the concept, we're going to be targeting local advertising to support ongoing initiatives. Finally, we really implore you to research local, buy local, and live local. Thanks.
I mean, I think anytime somebody's kind of self-administering this and kind of using it themselves, it's obviously a little bit of an eye-opener, right? As you start to plug in some of that data, I think it's probably a good way to start shifting your habits and things like that, rather than just taking in information from others kind of as a general sense. And you always seem to put yourself in a spot, well, I'm not quite that bad, right? I'm not to that extent. So I think it's a good way to kind of, self-reflect, if you want to call it that, and understand exactly, how much waste you're creating individually within your own household. So.
Yes, similar comments. Great presentation, guys. I love the little catchy phrase. I guess that always helps to actually get buy-in. Always staggering when I do read about the amount of waste. You mentioned 58%, and that's just it's such a shame. I always feel the same way when you get buffets, going to all-inclusive resorts, Vegas. Like, I can only imagine the food that probably gets thrown out the back. Data and education, obviously super important, near and dear to my heart. I love the way you took the recipe card idea. You could almost look at something like a waste index or a metric, just like we look at calories, having a measure of a recipe, or even on boxes and everything that we have in grocery stores. Like, if we had a way of measuring the waste, that'd be amazing, and provide ultimately what we want to see is, with that app, that accessibility, traction, and of course accountability. So great work.